Hello and welcome to World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guest on this next interview. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is in Kyiv pushing deeper EU-Ukraine defense cooperation and joint drone production. But reports that EU-backed funds may cover Chinese-made drone components have exposed a difficult contradiction between battlefield urgency and Europe's strategic autonomy. Joining us today on TVP World to assess the geopolitical implication is James Ker-Lindsay, visiting professor at the University of Kent. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Hello there. Nice to join you.
All right, so before we dive into the meat and potatoes, let's take a look at Ursula von der Leyen's visit to Kyiv. How significant is it, and are we looking at a perhaps just symbolic show of solidarity or an actual integration of Ukraine into the European Union defense?
I mean, the visit's been hailed as a very, very significant move. There's no doubt about it. I mean, look, it's all part and parcel of Europe trying to show that it remains firmly committed to Ukraine's defense and security, especially at a time when the question of United States support is well, I mean, the United States is no longer effectively supporting Ukraine. So Europe has had to step up. And I think that this is very much part of it. And the fact is that she's there, she's signing this agreement on defence cooperation about defence industries in particular, which is incredibly significant. And the European Commission is definitely presenting it as such. It's saying, look, we know that Ukraine is heading towards European Union membership, but this is also very much about showing that Ukraine is becoming increasingly integrated in Europe in all sorts of ways, especially given the war in defense and security realm.
Now, this contradiction that I mentioned on top of the interview is kind of perplexing. Europe is pursuing strategic autonomy, but we're also looking at a Europe that is increasingly strategically dependent on some of the Chinese component as well. How do you feel? What's your take on this?
Well, I mean, I think Europe's been very clear on this. The whole aim, so this is about releasing a billion euros of funds that will go towards drone technology. We know that, drone technology has become incredibly important in the Ukraine war. We know that Ukraine is leading the field in that. But obviously, this is an area where a lot of countries are developing their capabilities. And the specific aim of releasing that 1 billion euros is for Ukraine to spend it primarily on European-produced drone technology. But, and this is the crucial but in all of this, the European Commission and European countries have also recognized that there are certain areas where, for whatever reason, Europe doesn't produce the components needed or isn't able to produce them at a fast enough pace. And what we're seeing is that a special exemption has essentially been given to Ukraine so that it can approach China for these particular components. So the European leaders are making it very clear, look, this is not, they recognize how controversial this is, but they're saying, look, Ukraine has a fundamental security threat that it needs to be dealing with. If it can buy those components from China because Europe can't produce it, then it should be able to do so. But there are obviously sort of two key issues that sort of come up on that. One is that sort of sense as to should Ukraine be buying anything from China given China's support. But equally, it's very interesting that China will be selling these components to Ukraine, knowing exactly what they're being used for. But of course, China is seen as being very close to Moscow. So it raises not just interesting questions for Europe or Ukraine, but also rather interesting questions for Beijing.
Right, but looking at this exemption for purchasing components in China, was the same being made for other sources and other countries that perhaps Ukraine can procure these drones from, or is this carve out specifically aimed towards China?
Well, look, I mean, I'm not going to claim to be a specific expert on drone technology to be able to sort of say whether or not, they could have got it from other places. Right. I would assume that had been considered, that when the European Commission made this arrangement, this carve-out that said that Ukraine could buy this technology, it was on the basis that this it certainly wasn't readily available from European countries, but it probably wasn't readily available from other sort of component manufacturing states that might have been more palatable to European decision makers. So I assume that has all been taken into account. That and again, I mean, it's we're sort of entering discussions on sort of precise military technology, and I'm not entirely clear that we know exactly what those parts are, but certainly, as I say, that the European Union would certainly have been very aware of the political sensitivities of buying these components from China, and I can't see that they would have made that exemption had they thought that this was readily available elsewhere.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, especially like you mentioned, a lot of this still is under wraps. And when it comes to military specifics, of course, we might not know everything. But there is, do you think this is also an admission that even after 4 years of war, Europe has failed to be able to replace China's drone supply chains?
Well, I think, there's all sorts of complexity. We know that the technology is advancing very quickly. We know that China is at the forefront of developments in all sorts of fields. So I should imagine that Europe is making this very rapid transition to increasing its defence industrial base. This is all part and parcel of that, and trying to integrate Ukraine into that. So I think it's important to sort of recognise it's not just Europe sort of saying, look, we want to improve our ability to provide you with technology, but I think also recognising that Ukraine has produced incredible technology of its own. It's been very fleet-footed in sort of being able to develop these drone technologies, and so Europe wants to integrate that in. But it's quite clear that yes, somewhere along the way there are specific areas where Europe hasn't been able to catch up in time, and I think that this is a problem that we see not just in Europe, but for example in the United States. One of the problems that it's facing in its war against Iran is that it's used up its stockpiles in a lot of areas, and it just simply can't replenish it. We have to accept that many European countries, many Western countries, even those that are sort of quite military advanced, their industrial base has been focused in a very different area for quite a long time. And the war in Ukraine and the growing fears about Russia's threat to Europe have forced it to reconsider how it approaches its military industry. And I think that this is a very clear example of it, that yes, there will be those areas where it hasn't quite caught up, but I'm sure that they will be trying their very best to make sure that they can supply these components and that Ukraine doesn't have to go to China in future to be able to do this.
Right. But does this strategy create vulnerabilities if Beijing decides they want to restrict exports of critical drone components?
Well, that really is the huge question in all of this, isn't it? It's a very, very important point that, Beijing must surely find itself under a degree of political pressure from Russia now that this is all out in the open. The fact that we're discussing this means that this isn't some sort of sensitive intelligence information that is known to very few people and has been kept under wraps. It's out there, it's public. The report was based, the discussion we're having is based on a report in the Financial Times, which is obviously a very, very highly respected paper that has broken this story. And so I think it will be fascinating to see. I mean, China's position has obviously, it has provided a lot of support to Russia, but I think China has also sort of tried not to become too enmeshed on one side or the other. And so I think, we can see, and it's not just countries like China. For example, Serbia, which has traditionally close relations with Moscow as well, but is obviously trying to join the European Union. It has also been selling arms to Ukraine. So I think that there are those countries that say, listen, we may have close relations with Moscow, but we also recognize that, we aren't that firmly aligned with President Putin, that we have our own policies. But it will be interesting to see if this does win out, or whether, as you suggest, that Beijing might sort of pull up the drawbridge and say, we won't supply these components, in which case Ukraine will have a problem, and some serious thinking will be having to be done about how you can get those necessary parts to Ukraine.
All right, it's definitely going to be interesting indeed. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it, and thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you.
Cheers. And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.